Good evening, 49er faithful. Welcome to the live Sneakerhead call-in show where members of the channel call in and talk about whatever topics they want to cover with regards to the San Francisco 49ers. And on this channel, you know things could go a food route, things could go a car route, but primarily 49ers. It is definitely 49ers, as you see this little logo right there. Yes, we are getting into the Niners on today's call-in show. If you are a sneakerhead, you can call in by finding the link for StreamYard on my YouTube page. I am right now at this moment going to copy and paste that link into the chat. That will take you to the community tab on my YouTube page. And if you are a member, you can then find the link to call in. Appreciate all of you that are already here in the comments. Look in the comments right there. Just put that link in there. That'll take you to the community tab where you find the StreamYard link. That will take you backstage like we have Korean 49ers, Swan Song, and Jonathan right now at the moment. We've got Ellis 10 in the building, Charles Thurman, E. Kim, all sneakerheads of the channel, Raphael 5629er, Dan Rostek, Alan Elizer coming in, sneakerheads here in force. All right, no more ado. We are getting into this thing. Primarily, we're going to be talking about minicamp, offseason. Where's your head at with Trey Lance's readiness, with other players that you're fascinated with, any particular positional battles that you may be looking at, anything you want to talk about. First and foremost, we are bringing in Korean 49er to the stream. How are you doing this afternoon, my friend?
Good, Rob. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing very well indeed. Thank you for asking. Very excited with the fact that we have some clips to look at from the 49ers. Very excited that we had some tangible observation of players out on the field.
That's the most important thing, instead of talking about an offseason that appeared never to end.
Yes, it is an offseason that's dragging out, which is ironic after the offseason that we had last year, wherein it seemed like you couldn't possibly have any additional drama for this team. That it was all about Trey Lance. It was all about the number 3 pick, and everyone was tuned in. And yet again, this offseason, we have continual storylines that have played through. When is Jimmie actually going to get traded? Is Deebo going to get his new contract? It's wild that each offseason we seem to have these new storylines.
Sadly, they never end. So,
sadly, or you know, a positive. It gives us something to chat about. It absolutely keeps us entertained, right?
It's like rolling the boulder up the hill.
Yes, Sisyphus.
Yes.
Pushing that boulder up the hill only for it to fall right back down and have to start all over again.
Yes. So, one question about the rookies so far. Do you think that there may be why we're not getting any news about Ty Davis Price and Danny Gray and their possible injuries? I'm not saying they're seriously injured, but I know that they haven't been able to practice during these mandatories.
The interesting thing for Kyle Shanahan is his reluctance to give out that type of information at this point in the offseason, right? I understand when it's in mid-season and he doesn't want to give information about injuries. Then it becomes a competitive advantage for the 49ers to keep as much information in-house as possible. Right now, it just seems as if, you know, he's sort of doing that to scoff at the reporters who are asking, like, whatever his reasoning may be. I'm not going to try and predict why Kyle Shanahan is the way that he is. But right now, I just don't see a clear reason not to give it out. And the beat reporters have to ask specifically about a player, and they really only get one question. Then Kyle's like, hey, who do you want to know about on this list? I'll tell you about that person, but I'm not just going to give you all the information. So Danny Gray, at least there has been mention of the hamstring. I haven't actually heard what it is for TDP. Have you heard any mention of what the injury is?
I can only go by what I've heard from Grant and Jack. They said he has some kind of an injury, unknown, of course.
Undisclosed injury.
Yes.
Yeah, that leaves us guessing. I mean, you hope that if it were anything serious, they would let us know. You think that if it were anything serious, it would get leaked in some way. So hopefully it is just a minor pull and they're being precautionary at this point, attempting to keep him healthy for when we get into camp.
Yeah, most likely. It's not like when you watch the hockey playoffs and they say, Oh yeah, he took the 90-mile-per-hour slap shot off the foot, and it's a lower body injury. Well, we all saw him take the puck off the ankle, and it looked like he was just miserably trying to get back to the bench before he
Right.
goes back out.
Yeah, if it doesn't happen in game, then we're not going to know what happened because you can't actually see the injury occur. It will be something to monitor, though, because these rookies come in particular with a guy like Danny Gray, who's a speed guy. I think back to Marquise Goodwin, a lot of guys that have been with the 49ers who have had those lower body injuries, those soft tissue injuries. Typically, you don't want to see that happen repeatedly because that tends to point towards a conditioning issue, right? So with Danny Gray, hopefully it was just a tweak and he'll be back out there soon. I do find it fascinating that Kyle Shanahan is opting to limit the number of practices, right? He talked about, hey, when I think of OTAs, when I think of mini camps, they're just all the same. So you have 12 practices. And historically, the 49ers underneath Shanahan have never used more than 11. I feel like this year is one of the years where you would want to use more of those practices to get Trey Lance as many reps under center as possible. But again, we have an instance where we have canceled the rest of minicamp, where we didn't have the practice today that was on the books. And it seems uncertain that we'll have any more of the OTAs that got bumped back so they can move up minicamp. Do you find that to be odd as well?
Not really. I know we roasted Kyle when every player would go down with, like last season when they had two or three serious injuries to players that they couldn't come back and play during the season. I mean, they were trying to do their best to shed that label if possible.
Right. So you see this as potentially a positive progression in that vein, wherein they're no longer risking players' health. They may not be getting in as many practice reps, but they're not getting anyone injured, which could be potentially more important for the actual season.
That's what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking they just want to be precautious.
That makes sense. We may have lost our connection there. A sudden drop off. Korean 49er. All right. We will attempt. Oh, coming back in, but back out. It's a bad connection. We got bad audio. All right. We will try to bring it back in if Korean 49er rejoins, but we will transition now to bring in Swan Song to the stream. Swan Song, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Rob. Can't complain.
Nice to hear you, my friend.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So, okay. So it might be a little bit of wet blanket to start off here.
Bring on the wet blanket. Throw it on the fire.
Just as we got good stuff to chew, we got a bone to chew on for this last, week and a half. It sounds like there's not going to be any more mini camps, right?
It doesn't sound that way.
So now we're looking at 6 weeks into the abyss.
Oh, you're killing me, Swan Song. You're killing me.
And I can already see it. You know how it is. Although I think the Eye of Sauron, which is the national media, has shifted its gaze a little bit to the New York Jets. I have a little theory on this. I think when you have a charged fan base like the Jets, like the 49ers, etc., and all you need to do is crap on the team, and then you'll get that base so ignited. And that's what
fired up.
Yeah, that's what they've done to the Jets, because there's been some crazy talk about, Zach Wilson. Brady Quinn has already said that if he's not excellent, the Jets should think about drafting a QB in 23.
Right.
ESPN came out with something earlier in the week that said that the Jets are going to be the 32nd ranked team. Which, I mean, they're going to be like, are they really going to be worse than the Jaguars, the Bears, the Texans?
That's brutal. Yeah, they had a phenomenal draft, in my opinion, right?
Right, they did, and they have great coaches, and it looks pretty good. Like, I think they're going to win maybe 7 games or something like that. So it's crazy how that, you can just see that machine, just the national media machine just churning. And of course, during this time, when they ever want to get an instant story, they just will pick on the Niners again, right? Because there's so many question marks still, right? It's going to be Jimmie talk is going to start ramping up because he's probably going to throw in between these 6 weeks, right? We're going to hear something that he's getting ready to throw, and then all the Jimmie stories are going to come out again, and then you're going to hear some stories that saying, "Oh, they're going to bring back Jimmie to compete against Trey."
Jimmie, someone will come out with a story that says Jimmie will be starting week 1.
Yeah, and he's going to compete against Trey. Trey isn't ready. Blah blah blah.
Oh God.
So it's like, and then of course you have Deebo's contract, and we're gonna hear about that if he's going to be all in, and I want to segue that into Cooper Kupp's new contract.
Right.
We initially saw the whole $22 million, and we're like, hey, that's not that bad. But then he set the market with $75 million guaranteed.
Guaranteed money.
So that is interesting because up until this point, I had already sketched, etched Deebo in like that AJ Brown range, and he still might be there.
Right.
At that 40 million, 45 million guaranteed, and that would make sense because that would be up. If Deebo got 45 guaranteed, he would be the Niner that has the most guaranteed money since Trent Williams at 40.
Right.
So now with this,
will Deebo compare himself to Cooper Kupp?
Right. And now that market's been set at 75 million guaranteed. Granted, we haven't seen all the details because it matters with the signing bonus, but
it definitely matters.
And then I brought this up this morning in Grant's Discord, and Josh Mangold brought up something that made sense though. We have to keep in consideration that Cooper Kupp was going to get 15 million guaranteed for 2022.
Okay.
So when we say 75, it's really not 75 in new money.
No,
because
it's
he's
60.
already owed 15. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Which is a big difference.
Yes, it is a huge difference. So I think if we sign Deebo in that 50-ish million, I think that makes sense. Who knows what's going to happen, but that seems to make sense. And I was saying that maybe there's some type of agreement, for Deebo to come in the building. There must have been some type of like a gentlemanly agreement of saying, dude, we're going to get you. You're going to be happy. Right.
There had to have been some type of like, hey, it's going to be all right at the end. Like, just trust us on this.
Yeah, right. There has to be, because there's no way he could have made such a 180 like that.
I would think so.
Right?
Here's the conspiracy theory route of it from the Rams' perspective. They're like, you know what? Our cap number is just going to be so shot out in 3 years that let's go ahead and screw with the 49ers at this point. Let's give a bunch of money to Cooper Kupp, guarantee it. It's over the next 3 years. We've got a Super Bowl window the next 2. In the third year, it's going to be a rebuilding year anyway. So let's just kneecap the Niners by guaranteeing all of Cooper Kupp's money.
Yeah, and then when this all started, because I looked at the over the cap figures for the Rams, and I said, hey, they're actually in pretty good shape. I mean, they make all these big signings, these oohs and ahs and things like that, and they have big names. But if you look at how their salary cap is, it's not that bad,
No.
And especially for this next window, like this 3-year window they have, like they probably saved money in cap money. I know they saved it in Darnold. They're probably going to save some with Cooper Kupp as well. So, they might be able to go get someone else during the middle. Do not be shocked.
Oh, God. I mean, the reality is that the structure of the salary cap is set up to heavily, I mean, whether intentional or not, the rule structure for the salary cap is set up in a way that really benefits owners that are able to cash players out with money in hand right now to give them that signing bonus. If you can pull forward that money that you owe them in future years, turn it into a signing bonus right now, you got to have that cash on hand. You got to have tens of millions of dollars at your disposal. Not every NFL owner does. Certainly the Rams do with Stan, however you pronounce cranky, whatever.
And then the way that they do it is they have 5 or 6 heavily paid players, and the rest of them are just making little, just kind of like how the Niners do it.
Right. The difference, Matt Mayoka did a good deep dive during the earlier part of the offseason, wherein he pointed out that the Rams go really extreme. They have only big contracts and minimum deals. I mean, not all minimum deals, but at the low end. The Niners have a little bit more of a middle class. They have 1 or 2 fewer big contracts, a few players in that like $3 to $7 million per year range, and then a lot of those at the other end as well.
Yeah, and the way with the Niners that they do a lot of these 1-year deals, and they want these players to come back, right? Like they do these prove it deals.
Yeah.
And the Niners have a lot of depth, and like the way that you don't like New Orleans has been playing this game, right? But the problem with New Orleans is they pay a bunch of people, There's like you look at all their contracts, there's so much dead money going forward. So what happens is that they've been kind of lucky in a way in that they haven't had injuries. Like we've been unlucky because we've had D Ford be injured and then we had to lose all that dead money.
Yes.
The Rams have been extremely lucky because none of their guys have been injured at all. Because when you play that 5-year dead money, the voided years game, you better hope because your roster at that point becomes kind of frozen, rigid.
Yes.
Right. So if any of those players get hurt, you're in big trouble because you're going to be in D Ford situations, right?
Right.
We've only had one, right? Well, and Western Richburg, but like those are the extreme cases.
And you might even consider Quan Alexander. Like we did have a
right.
couple.
Right. Yeah. And Jarek McKinnon.
Right.
But we did have a couple of those. So those should be coming out. Like they should be weeding its way out. So
yes.
Like I think I want to talk about like all the camp stuff and like we can't have better news about Trey than what's happening right now. Like I think it's been awesome. It's been very positive. I know a lot have been talked about his mechanics and stuff, and I know that the next 6 weeks he's going to be spending a lot of his time down south with the 3D QB guys.
Right.
And
back down in Orange County.
Yeah, and there's a couple of interviews with Adam Dideau, who is the guy that works with Trey. He's the co-owner of 3D QB. Like Tom House doesn't really do hands-on from what I've read because he's like 75 now, so he's more in the back. Yeah, he's an older guy. Actually, he comes from a pitching back. All these guys come from a pitching background. Adam's dad, Ron, I guess, was helpful to Tom's career. They all started, I think it was at USC where they were teaching pitching mechanics. And then you had some quarterbacks in the 80s and 90s start coming to them and start, learning about like how they could, get their throwing efficiency better, throwing mechanics better.
It makes sense. I mean, baseball pitchers are throwing at such a high velocity that they really need to have that throwing motion down or it causes injury, right? You have so many Tommy John surgeries, whereas NFL quarterbacks very rarely have a throwing injury where they need to go in and have surgery for it because they're just not throwing at that velocity.
Yeah, it's usually when you hear about a quarterback hurting his arm, it's because he got hit throwing.
Yeah, or he hit it on a helmet like Trey did. Yeah.
So it's like, when Joe got smashed into the turf, like when he dislocated, like things like that. So it's like, it's interesting because Adam had said during these interviews is that, I guess because he flew up to San Francisco last year during Trey's 21 season, tweaking Trey's throw. But of course you can't do much because you're in season, right? But he's still helping him out with things here and there. And this last time that he was over here, like during the offseason before this, was, he was working on getting Trey's arm back to health. It's like because Trey's got some bad habits, like as he said, from throwing the ball with his pinky, his broken index finger.
Yeah, and to where he started using the middle finger to release the ball.
Yeah, so and I guess these 40 days, Adam was saying that we're going to do more tweaking, and if there needs any, like if we need any more tweaking, we're going to do that, and that's where you're going to see the biggest gain, right?
Yeah.
Because right now it's like what he's had to work with right now is just kind of getting Trey back into feeling normal, and then this next 40 days is going to be when they're if they need it, they're going to tweak his throwing, So
can't wait to see it. Absolutely can't wait to see what tweaks he does make. I mean, it is fascinating. I was going to bring in, before you broach the topic, I was going to bring in Robert Pacheco here. Same question, what you actually led us into, but saying, Rob Schuh, how do you feel about all the Trey Lance hype all 49ers players are bringing? It does feel like right now it's nothing but positive news. I'm thrilled to hear that he is working on it. I agree with Kyle Shanahan in his statements that usually it's not between the head coach or the quarterback coach and the quarterback. Mechanics are something that they work on with their own people in the offseason, and it certainly seems that that's a priority for Trey Lance.
Yeah, and that's the thing that we're going to have to be patient with because, I had my son played travel ball. He played baseball for a long time, and he was a pitcher.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he's young still, but, you'd be amazed how young kids get started on, because they get pitching. I got them pitching coaches and all everything, right?
It's wild to me. I got a buddy whose kid was a pitcher as well. I mean, young enough that it didn't seem right how many coaches were involved.
Right.
But absolutely. It's a freaking machine, right?
Right. And the thing about it is that, like everyone knows, you're going to have to get that muscle memory because as you're changing a lot of things, there's a lot of things that, as things are changing, it's not just one thing that changes. It's a bunch of things. And then it's the feel of it, it's the confidence. And then, of course, when you're getting thrown live bullets, they always say you kind of revert back to what your muscle memory is, right?
Yes.
So we're going to have to be patient in that you're going to probably see some bad throws somewhere like, whoa, what we will be good with is we know that he's a good decision maker.
Yes.
We know that he protects the football. He's done that since high school.
Yes,
right?
He has.
He had that unbelievable season at NDSU where he doesn't have a freaking interception, which is insane. So we know that. But, as people have said, Trey, he has all the attributes of a gunslinger. But I think mentally he is a protect the football, competitive guy that I'm not going to give you anything, in that sense.
It seems like a best of both worlds in that regard.
It does. And I think and through this time as he develops, he'll figure out, where he goes. You know what I'm saying? Like he's going to balance that out, right? Because sometimes you want a gunslinger. Sometimes you want to have that quarterback that's going to take a chance. But as long as you take a chance knowing where you're at in the game, right?
Yes.
So it's like, so that
when you can take those shots. Know when it won't kill you if in fact you do turn it over.
Right. Exactly. So I'm excited about that. I think, we talked about Brendel. I talked about it a couple weeks ago that I think for sure that, I don't think the Niners are going to do anything crazy because there's nothing. I know everyone's been saying JC Treader, and there's another name that's been brought up, Paradis from, I guess he was on the Ravens. But, JC Treader, there's too many red flags there to be taking a chance, I think, on that. I mean, I'm sure if they knew everything was good with JC Treader, they'd probably bring him in.
I think so, too. Because they have to feel good about Jake Brendel first and foremost, and not better about any of the free agents that are out there. I could see a scenario where if Jake Brendel has a terrible offseason, then you explore bringing someone in. But it sure seems that he's going to get the first crack at this. Right.
Yeah. And then the fact that he's a smart guy, that he knows, the offense already, which is a huge thing. He's worked with Trey for a year.
Right.
So these are all the signs that you're
very athletic, right? You look back at the athleticism scores coming out in the combine, very athletic.
Yeah. So unless he's shown he's getting blown up.
Yeah.
And yes, there could be something said about, you can get this other one of these other guys and have him just train. But, I don't know if Kyle is we know the important thing about the 49ers offensive line is hey, you got to know what you're doing, right?
Yes.
So
you got to know your assignments.
Yeah, you got to know your assignments. And then as week one comes, it's not just knowing about the playbook, but as the weeks go by, teams adjust to you. And then, of course, Kyle naturally adjusts to that, right?
Yes.
So in order for him to adjust to that, he's going to add things okay, now you guys been instructed to do this. Now we're going to riff on that and do this, right?
Exactly. We're going to run out of the same formation. Now we've got a new wrinkle that we're going to add.
And you have to have a veteran that knows the system so they're comfortable on doing that riff, right? Where if you bring in a new guy,
totally agree, because they're looking for some key in the defense, right? All of Kyle Shanahan's different formations out of the same different looks out of the same formation are all based off of where's the weakness in the defense on that particular defense, right? Whatever they're covering. And so you got to be able to spot out where is that key that's going to say we either go this direction or this direction.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So it's I know it seems like we've been playing musical chairs at center. It's crazy. That's why I was so high on during the draft. I was dude, just trade 23 draft capital and go whatever you need to do. go get one of these stud centers and just forget about it. Like
just lock it down.
Yeah, just lock it down. I don't want to worry about center ever again for the next 10 years.
I hear you.
You know, it's hard. I think that's the one thing that you could say about the Shanny system is the one criticism that you can make is that it's not plug and play.
No, it's not.
Especially at the center position. You know?
Right. You're often talking about guys needing significant lead time to get up to speed.
Yeah, and it was good news to hear, like, you know, Trey gassing up. God, what's our center? God, Brendel. Yeah, and then of course, and then you had Trent saying all those things. Trent's eyes like lit up when he was talking about Brendel. So, like, if he's like saying he's another coach on the field. So, hey, if Trent is good with that, then hey, as a fan, I'm good with it. You know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah, me too. If Trent Williams is in on Jake Brendel, I'm in.
Yeah, so it's I mean, I still think that, you know, if they could bring a veteran person in, then do it. You know, like I don't know who you give up because they drafted a lot of offensive linemen, so I'm not sure. I don't know what they're planning to do. And I just want to finish up with this one last thing.
Yeah.
On the defense. So there's word that, you know, Bosa came up to up there and he said, hey, we might have to keep another defensive lineman this year on our roster, right?
Right.
He clearly said that, right?
Yes, he did.
I'm thinking, and we know how much depth we have. So unless they don't trade Ibukam because of his salary, blah, 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 and if they keep all of these guys, the one position I could see them doing that, and hear me out on this, is safety. And the reason why I say safety is because Tart is not getting picked up by anyone, obviously, right?
Probably not. I mean, barring some sort of injury in camp, you would think that he's going to sit out there for a while.
Right. So the Niners could be telling him, I'm sure they told him, just be ready.
Yeah.
Right. So
we may have to call on you.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a veteran. He doesn't need to, like, he knows the system. He knows he has chemistry working, obviously, with Jimmie Ward.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, hey, just hang out there, right? Unless the only gamble it is if, like, say the Jets, they need a safety, someone gets hurt, or Miami, people that have worked with know Tart.
Exactly.
Right?
The gamble is someone else has an injury and swoops in for sure.
But most likely he's going to be sitting out there this whole time. So if you're going to take a roster spot, you take it from safety because then you know you can always grab Tart off the front. And if Tart's listening, I'm sorry, man, but that's just
Jaquaski, I'm sorry that they're going to do this to you. It's not fair. They should pay you.
I would do, like, right? Like, it makes sense, right?
I hear you.
So if they're going to do that, I think that's where they would do it at. That's where if you're gonna what's that expression? Pay Paul. Where you know what I'm talking about.
Rob Mary to pay Paul.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
I don't like Lee Ving's prediction. Tart somehow ends up on the Seahawks. God, I would hate that. I hate it when any of our players end up on the Seahawks for sure.
Freaking Seahawks are always trying to poach our players.
They are poaching everybody. Well, as always, I love the call, Swan Song. I appreciate you coming on, my friend.
Right on. Thanks, Rob. Have a good
Absolutely. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Later, buddy. All right. We are bringing in Jonathan T to the stream. We got Starco Fan 212. Jonathan, how are you doing today, my friend?
Fine, Rob. How about you?
I'm doing very well, and I appreciate you asking.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I just watched Adam's, before the stream, I watched Adam Rank's video, which came out
very
today.
Nice.
And we all know how controversial Adams Rank's predictions are when it comes to the predicting NFL teams' records. And so I skipped to the Niners, and he has us going 9-8.
9-8, huh?
Yeah.
Now, did he lay out who he had us losing to, or did he just come to the record? Did he just predict it at 9-8?
I think one team I remembered that was a bit of a shock to me. Well, not a shock, but kind of ironic, I guess. To us losing is the Bears, obviously, because we all know that.
Whoa! He had us losing Week 1 to the Bears.
Yes, but we all know how much Adam Rank is a huge Bears fan, and how much bias he's going to give them. And for on that note, he has the Bears going 10-7.
10-7 for the Bears, quite possibly the worst team in the league, and he's got them at 10-7.
And to quote that, that's him, quote unquote, being saying unbiased.
Unbiased. That's his unbiased Homer opinion, in my humble opinion. That's for sure. And that seems like a stretch to me. That seems like a stretch. And it does feel as if people share that. Jack Kenna, LOL, no response. Swan Song, LOLs. 187. Wow. Yeah, I got a hard time. I'm with Swan Song. Instantly not a credible take on it. But it is Adam Rank. You've got to listen to it, right? He's clearly connected. He's clearly watching a ton of film. This is not an uneducated point of view. This is someone who spends a great deal of time looking at the NFL. I agree with Bring It here, talking about 9-8 sort of being a floor for this season. I went through one by one and came out. I did this exercise with Jack Hammer. You may have seen it. We went through, I thought I was being conservative, and I landed at 11 wins. I believe Jack, he had more than I. It was either 13 or 14 wins. I mean, he was definitely on one, predicting the Niners to take home those victories. But I honestly felt I was being conservative in saying we get to 11 wins. I don't know if I can go so far as to say I'll be disappointed if we have fewer than 11 wins, because I don't want to set that expectation. But quite honestly, I feel like our floor is closer to 11.
Yeah, that's what I actually did my own season prediction for the Niners.
Ooh, hit me with it.
I'm ranking it's 11-6 as well.
Ooh, you're with me, 11-6. Okay,
yeah.
Do you want to go through and let us know what teams you have the Niners losing to?
Let me just pull up the Niners schedule.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, let's see here.
Jason Walsh coming in saying unbiased as he sleeps on a Bears pillow. That is good, Jason. Well played there.
So I had them losing to the Broncos with Russell Wilson still being there. I know that's been our kryptonite, definitely.
Me too. I had them dropping that one as well.
I also had them dropping to the Chiefs. They're in a tough AFC West division.
Yep.
And I think they're just going to be training harder for that game.
And I think that's the one where we have our 2-week stretch on the East Coast and then come home after being on the East Coast and play the Chiefs immediately. And so the Niners have historically done well by staying on the East Coast and adjusting to the time zone, but then they have struggled against inferior opponents when they come home from those long trips. So when they come home and have to play the Chiefs, I agree. That one's going to be a tough one.
And I also had them losing to the Chargers, I believe.
I didn't initially have us losing to the Chargers, but after further consideration, in particular with the uncertainty along the offensive line, and then looking at Khalil Mack paired with Joey Bosa along the Chargers defensive line, I've changed my tune. I think that's going to be a very difficult game, and I had swapped it from a win to a loss.
And I have one loss to the Cardinals, which I think that could go either way, because we're not sure about what Kyler Murray stance is, especially what I think a lot of people would agree is an embarrassing loss to the Rams in the wild card game.
Very embarrassing. I mean, so much so that it caused conflict between he and the organization, where he felt as if he was being scapegoated in that instance.
Yeah, definitely. And but I still think the pattern still holds. At least maybe maybe Kyler does do well, but I can't. I have them winning. I have them winning the first one, but I can't see them winning our second meetup, just because I know that the Cardinals don't seem to do well towards the end of the season.
Right, they have definitely fallen off in the second half of the season underneath Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, it's just like two different. It's almost like two different teams are out there almost.
Yeah, it's as if they have this momentum and they're riding that momentum, and then one thing goes wrong and it becomes that quicksand. All of a sudden they start spiraling down and they lose all hope, and it just seems as if they can't put it back together. The wheels fall off.
Mm-hmm. And I think what might be different from yours is that a loss to the lost to the Raiders, I believe.
That is different. I definitely predicted a win in Las Vegas on New Year's Day because I want to see a win. I'm going to be there, and I got to predict a win if I want to see a win. So yes, I did put that one out there as a win. Yeah. I see that as potentially being a tougher game if the Raiders are still in the playoff hunt, but the AFC West is so stacked that I will not be surprised if by that point in the year the Raiders have already been eliminated from the playoffs in that division.
True. However, they did get Devontae Adams. That's the one thing that maybe, switch that made me think they were getting out, because Devontae Adams is a pretty good wide receiver.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Just bringing in Tom Bragg because he agrees with the way in which Jack broke out that schedule. With all the vast improvements to our roster, I'm expecting a 13-4 season. That will get us either the first or second seed. Our game against Tampa Bay will determine which one we will be. I like the optimism there. Just going to answer Jack Kenna in here. 11-6 for my predictions was with Deebo on the roster. I was assuming Deebo would be back at that point.
Yeah, and that would be the same for me here. I believe that Deebo would be on the roster and as well. So I think what was different from your set, I had the Niners winning both Rams games, and where you had, I believe you had us losing, going 1-1 with the Rams, I believe.
Yeah, when I started that one out, I actually started with us losing both to the Rams and then amended that at some point to where I believe that the Niners will take one of those.
I think that Niners game, that NFC Championship game was close and it go either way. And I think, however, I think the Niners will be more focused this time around and will be able to take those 2 wins with the Rams.
And they'll be the ones coming in. The Rams came in with all the locker room fodder, right? They had all the bulletin board material because all Niners fans were talking trash about how we owned SoFi and how it was Levi's South and that the Rams couldn't beat us. And that created an underdog mentality for the Rams. Well, winning in the NFC Championship game and then going on to take the Super Bowl, they are no longer underdogs. Now that narrative switches over to the 49ers. Coming in for some revenge. We've had bad luck with revenge tours in the past, but I don't think that's going to be the case this year, taking our revenge against the Rams.
Okay, and I think what I want to talk about next is the Cooper Kupp deal. I think everyone knows that, how his big deal, and the Rams have been doing pretty well this offseason, and I think a lot of people are wondering, where does this cap space, or where does this money even come from, since I believe they are in the negative cap space, if I am correct.
Say that one again. I didn't quite catch the entirety of it.
I believe they're in the Rams have negative cap space, I believe.
Ooh, they can't actually be negative at this point because we're into that phase where you have to maintain the cap. But I'm guessing that they're right up against it.
Yeah, definitely. And so I definitely think, and a lot of people are wondering if that will affect, how much Deebo will get paid. I don't really think so, because they won a Super Bowl. Cooper Kupp won a Super Bowl, which I think definitely played out as well. I think if Deebo can help us with a Super Bowl, I think the Niners will definitely give him more money later on.
Yeah, that's definitely, once you have added that Super Bowl ring to your resume, certainly helps you earn a little bit more on that next paycheck.
And from what I heard from a Niners press conference this week, is that Jake Brendel has been one of the last people that to leave the field during practice, which I just think shows how much he's dedicated to the he's fighting for that starting role at center and not to get replaced by a veteran, because I think he can do it. I think it will definitely pay off at the end.
So you've got faith in Brendel being able to hold down that position, putting in that extra work after practice?
Yeah, if he's he's the last one leaving practice all the time. I don't think they ever specified by how much. If anybody could, if they did, someone in the comment section remind me. And
that is something. I mean, to be out there, that just shows you're grinding. That shows you're willing to put in the work. Trent Williams talked about him being one of the smarter players in that room, that he is almost like an additional coach in the room. So that shows someone who is knows in the books and out there on the field, putting in the hours.
Got it. And So for the rookies, they all seem to do pretty good so far. And
yeah.
Okay. And however, one thing I want to bring up is that Pro Football Focus has the Niners as the 6th worst unit. I'm not sure what.
Was that specifically, that was the running back unit, correct?
I believe that was the running back unit.
It was. And I mean, I guess that's just because it's unproven at this point. And quite honestly, if you look at it, I guess it's not terribly surprising that they did so, because you're looking at Elijah Mitchell being the star of the room, and he was a 6th-round draft pick that overperformed. So maybe they say to themselves, well, perhaps he falls a little bit back. Maybe he doesn't have as impressive of a season. TDP, Ty Davis Price, everyone considered him to be a bit of a reach to draft him where we took him. So PFF may be saying he's not quite the player that the 49ers believe him to be. And then Trey Sermon, certainly a bunch of question marks after seeing how little he was able to contribute last year. So I'm optimistic about this room. I'm certainly anxious about that. I think the 4th running back spot is going to be an interesting battle to watch with Jordan Mason, the undrafted free agent that Jackhammer has been reminding us to keep our eye on, in combination with JaMychal Hasty and Jeff Wilson Jr. to see who grabs that last spot.
Yeah, I think that's what I feel a bit controversial, because I think the Niners have a great running back room. I think, definitely, and I think either Elijah or Trey will definitely have either Elijah will continue to grow, or Trey Sermon will either have a breakout season, especially from what little he was able to produce last season.
I'm thinking it's going to be closer to the 3-headed monster that we saw in 2019. So I'm in agreement with you. I believe Elijah Mitchell, Trey Sermon, and TDP will get a fairly even split of carries once we get to the end of the year. It'll balance out based off of injuries and playing time and riding the hot hand at that point.
Okay, and I guess the final topic I want to bring up is I think this is just new. I was exploring the news while getting my notes ready for this live stream here, and apparently there's a report that's saying that Jason Garrett is replaced Drew Brees as one of the NBC broadcasters, which is,
I heard that as well.
Yeah, and I think that and I just looked at the comment section really quick, and I already saw a lot of comments about people predicting that Drew Brees coming out of retirement to play for the Saints again.
Interesting. I mean, it's something to monitor, right? We've already seen one instance of a quarterback retiring and coming right back out of retirement with Tom Brady this offseason. Certainly something is changing for Drew Brees if he's stepping down from that position with the network. Could be a family thing, could be a different position with another network that hasn't been announced yet, but something to keep your eye on as far as the quarterback carousel and those spots out there that might be available for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Fantastic. Jonathan, I always love our conversation. I love that you come in with the topics, right? You've got the points that you're hitting, man. I really dig it. Let me ask you one question that came in from the chat here as we wrap up. I want to get your prediction. Leaving asks us the other question: what record wins the NFC West? So do you think that our prediction of 11-6 is actually going to be the winner in the NFC West? And if not, what is that win total you got to get to in order to be the champ of our division?
I don't think 11 is going to be good enough. Because,
I don't either.
Yeah, because I just want to remind everyone that three of the four teams in the NFC West made it to the into the playoffs, and two of them were in the conference finals, which it's a pretty hard accomplished thing to do for one division. And I think these teams definitely got teams like Rams gotten better. So I think it's going to be the Rams, and I think it's going to be with them. I think it's good. They're just going to edge us out with 12 wins, 12 or 13
12
wins.
and 5. I think that's reasonable to say 12 and 5, maybe with a tiebreaker. I like Scott's prediction here. 13 and 4 feels like a very safe way to predict because 13 wins should win the division. It's very hard to imagine anyone getting beyond that. And there are teams talented enough within our division, us included, that could certainly get to 13 wins. Rich coming in to say 12 or 13 wins.
Yeah,
Jonathan, as always, I truly appreciate the conversation, my friend.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Hopefully we will see you again soon, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bringing in Chris Royal to the stream. Chris, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing pretty well, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Appreciate you asking.
Yeah, not a problem. It was a long week for me, so I'm glad to be heading into my weekend.
Ooh, that's nice. It is always nice to get that weekend rolling. So do you have tomorrow off? Like tonight is your official Friday night?
Yes.
Man.
I do have to work a 6-day, so unfortunately I only get 1 day off, but
that's a short weekend. That's
a short weekend.
Not quite what you're looking for to recharge.
Yeah, definitely not. So I wanted to talk about the Deebo Samuel thing.
Okay,
him showing up at camp. I don't think that's too crazy to think of. And listening to Kyle Shanahan talk about their relationship not necessarily being bad,
right?
He said all the right things, but the body language and how he said it kind of made it seem like he wasn't being completely transparent about it. That's at least how I took it.
Yeah, you interpreted that body language to mean he was holding a little something back there, that there may have been more he would have liked to have said but couldn't in that setting.
Right. And I think so I don't think we're out of the the neck of the woods here. I do think they're talking about the contract, but I do think there's still a little bit of hesitancy on Deebo's part. And him showing up, there's 100,000 reasons why, he wouldn't want to miss that. And that's a lot of money for a young kid that hasn't gotten that big contract yet.
No, he was a second round pick. So you're not talking about first round pick money. It is, I think he's only getting, I'm going to look it up right now, but it's not a huge salary right now.
No, and if he would have missed it, if he would have missed the mandatory camp and sat out, he would have lost almost $100,000. So that's a lot of money for a guy that's just starting a family and all that good stuff. I mean, that's a lot of money to take away. So if I was him, I would have been there too.
That's a lot of money. And Deebo's a guy like me that likes cars, and $100,000 even after taxes can get you a new car. Yeah, he's just making about $4 million right now this year. And so to take out $100,000 from that $4 million, that's a big chunk of change.
Yeah, for sure.
No question about it. So you think that he's just there so he doesn't get fined, a bit of the Marshawn Lynch treatment. Do you believe that this will then be a very contentious negotiation as it goes forward? Do you anticipate any further drama?
I think they're going to try to hold that drama back. I think Deebo realizes now that, it's probably not worth it to have that kind of, have that kind of smoke out there. But he definitely seems like he has the type of mentality that he's going to hold firm and he's not going to settle for anything less than what he thinks he deserves. And that's fine. I think that's great.
I do agree with you on that point. I don't believe that there will be any further drama. I think the Niners are just going to have to pony up. They have now committed to the fact that they're going to pay Deebo. I think my personal opinion was once they kept him beyond the draft, the leverage sort of went back to Deebo. Like it's almost reverse of what you would think. You're like, well, he's under contract. The Niners can franchise tag him if they want. They've got him lock, stock, and barrel right now. But the reality is by not trading him, the Niners essentially said to Deebo's agent, yeah, we're going to pay you. We're going to make you whole. The contract will get settled at some point. And so that allows Deebo and his camp to hold firm, to your point, in where they believe they're worth. And these contracts keep coming out, getting done for other freaking wide receivers. It's just strengthening their case. Every single one of these deals is just making Deebo look right for being upset that he was getting lowballed in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, so the receivers that are getting paid, I mean, you can argue that with the exception of maybe Kupp, I mean, Deebo had a better year than everybody.
Right. Absolutely.
So with all these guys getting paid big, and I would even say that to a certain extent, Deebo was probably more impactful of a wide receiver than Kupp himself. So, to see how much money these guys are getting, they're definitely going to have to pony up the money to give it to get them to stay. And I think they're going to do whatever it takes for sure.
I agree. And now it appears that the money that's going to Nick Bosa is just going to be that much more as well after the Aaron Donald deal. I mean, again, like it is a tinfoil hat theory, but the Rams have kneecapped us right now with 2 deals that impact what we need to pay our star players in order to come back.
Yeah. I think we kind of have the advantage there is that, Trey's on a rookie deal. They have a lot of money in Matthew Stafford. So, in that instance, I guess we've got the one up on them. But yeah, they're throwing money at these guys that they know that we have players that are similar skill set, similar talent wise. And, it's going to only cost us a lot more money.
Yeah. Let me get your opinion on this that Rich Hidalgo brought in earlier that leads to a question that I'm going to bring up that is more recent. But the initial question was, do you think we extend Deebo 3 or a 5-year deal? Obviously, if you believe it's 4 as well, totally fine to pick that. But what's your sense around the length the Niners might attempt to sign him? I'll give my opinion on that as well.
Yeah, I think if you're the Niners, you're going to want to extend him for as long as possible.
Yeah.
You don't want him to leave.
Right.
So I would say that 5-year deal is probably what they're going to be aiming for.
I agree in that I think they'll give him 4 fresh years, and then there'll be the 1 year that's currently on the deal. So it will be technically a 5-year contract, but they probably won't mess with this year's deal, this year's money all that much. And so it's really 4 additional new years. But it does bring up the interesting conversation. Rich Hidalgo coming back in. This is the one I was looking for. I think Deebo's looking for a 2 or a 3-year deal to leave. Seems like he wants to be closer to home with his new son. He, is buying property in Florida, although I will say that anyone who has an accountant worth their, weight is going to say, buy your primary residence in a state that does not have a state income tax, right? That will allow you to take in any endorsement money, any deals that you make in the offseason. Then you're not going to get taxed at the state level. But all of your game checks are going to be taxed at whatever state they're played in. That's how the jock tax works. So when they play a game in Carolina, they will be taxed that week in Carolina's state income tax. But the vast majority of games will be in California. So this is interesting to suggest that Deebo may want to get himself to Florida at some point and maybe therefore looking for a shorter deal. I can't imagine the 49ers agreeing to that. I think they would rather lock him down for 4 and then stumble again and get to a point where Deebo demands a fresh contract if, in fact, it ever got to that.
Yeah, I think that's probably the ideal situation for Deebo. But I think the Niners are probably going to be looking in that, 4 to 5 year range, and they're going to probably pay him enough money to where maybe getting closer to home is not so much of a big thing at that, this particular time.
Right. That's absolutely true. I mean, once he sees the amount of money on this contract, I have to believe that he is going to brighten up a bit, that, he's going to smile. He's going to realize that he's just made generational wealth for his family, for himself, and he can buy himself all the damn cars that he wants at that point. I'll be jealous of all the cars Deebo will be able to acquire at that point. I like Dan's point here, Sneakerhead here on the channel coming in. Rob, do you know why the Niners always take so long with their extensions? I don't, but it seems as though the Niners have targeted July as the time in which they like to get these deals done. And it allows all these other players to leapfrog the 49ers in getting their deals done first. And that seems to cost San Francisco money. So I don't understand why we have not changed that strategy. I don't fully comprehend what advantage we may get out of waiting until July, but it certainly is the pattern that they followed.
Yeah, I think that's just the, Parag special right there. He likes to drag it out as long as possible and get the best deal possible. But at the same time, it's like a double-edged sword. When you got other players with that same the same skill set, getting paid other places, it tends to backfire.
It does. It does. I tend to agree with Lee Ving here, talking about that guaranteed money is going to need to come close to what Cooper Kupp got. We did call out in talking to Swan Song earlier that really it's just $60 million of new guaranteed money. So maybe it'll be closer to that 60 figure and not 70. But Deebo is certainly at this point, as 420 Savage says, saying, show me the money at this point. And the Niners, because of these contracts that are getting done, are going to need to show them significant guaranteed cash. Once again, I believe it is absolutely happening. 187, I'm with you there. Once we pay him, all is good, should be before training camp. Yes, I believe it will get done in July before we are back out there on the field.
Yeah, I think between whatever set him off in the first place, plus all these other players getting paid, it's going to take a lot of money to, make him happy, and they're going to have to throw it at him. And I think once the contract's done, I think we'll just, Deebo will go back to being Deebo and having all that, the fun with the boombox and all that good stuff. And I'm looking forward to it.
Do you have any concerns in their most recent podcast, the two most connected NBC Sports beat reporters, Jennifer Lee Chan and Matt Mayoko, were talking about Deebo, and Jennifer sort of casually mentioned the idea that Deebo did not look the same as he did when he came in to minicamp. Well, we didn't have minicamp last year, but OTAs last year, that he wasn't quite as chiseled. She didn't make a big deal out of it. Neither one of them went any further, but that statement was made. Any concerns on your part with that in mind?
No, I don't think so. I mean, these guys had, a few months off. So, I mean, naturally they're going to be a little bit heavier. They may not look as chiseled as they typically do. And, that's the whole point of, OTAs and training camps, is getting your body back right. So I don't think it's a huge deal at all.
Unless you're Nick Bosa and then you reduce your body fat and get more ripped every single opportunity that you have. Whether you're out on your new boat or not, Nick Bosa comes back in looking ferocious.
Yeah, I would. I wouldn't mind having a body like that, but I'm not going to put in that work for it. I'm sorry. I'm good.
No, neither am I. I am trying to sort of get myself to a point, and I have no goals anywhere close to what Nick Bosa is doing. I am much more modest in what I'm attempting to achieve myself. I like what Nick is calling out here. Nick C88. Deebo was smiles at minicamp. Yes, he was. Once he's paid, be ready for that smile to get a whole lot bigger. I agree. Hey, you give me, I don't know, $80 million. I'm going to be pretty freaking happy as well.
Yeah, I definitely think it's good that he's there interacting with all of his teammates. I think that'll help, ease some of the tension.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Just going to bring in Starco Fan 212, who gives us the rest of the predictions from Adam Rank on the NFC West. So he had the Cardinals at 8-9, Rams at 11-6, Niners at 9-8, and Seahawks at 5-12. So he's got 11 wins winning the NFC West. The one thing I will say about it is I do like how he has the Cardinals, Rams, and Niners tight together in their wins and losses. That I could see. But I see the Niners at 11-6. The Rams could be in there at 12-5, and the Cardinals maybe at 9-8. Right? I do think they'll be within three wins of one another. I just don't think the Niners are going to end up at 9-8. When I look at the schedule, I just can't see that.
Yeah, I sent you an email a few weeks back, kind of showing you my predictions, and the Rams have a really tough schedule.
Yeah.
So
Super Bowl winner.
I literally have them at 10-7, and then the 49ers at 11-6, Arizona at 7-10, and then the Seahawks at 6-11.
I like that. I like the sound of that.
So I do think 11-6 is probably going to take the division. But I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers or the Rams hit that 12-13 wins. Yeah. But I mean, just between the two of us, we have really, really tough schedules with really tough teams. So, it's just not as simple to predict, I mean, you can drop any of these games.
Yeah, it is not easy to predict. And Leaving correctly stating he thinks that the entire division is going to regress. And it is tough. It is a tough schedule. We are playing the AFC West, and that makes it that much harder to come up with those wins. The Rams were the Super Bowl winners, so they've got the toughest schedule that they could possibly have.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. Well, I mean, I'm pretty excited to actually get to the games where we get to see how this thing is going to work out. But until then, I will keep running through and making my predictions about new win-loss records based on new information that comes into me.
Yeah, the more teams change up coming into the season, I mean, you're going to have to, take wins off, add wins to it. It's just
right.
How it goes.
Keep up with the injuries for sure.
Definitely. Hopefully we don't have a whole lot of them.
Yes.
So that's what I'm glad that they
knocking on wood as we speak.
Yes, I am glad that they kind of, cut everything a little short, and hopefully.
So you're good with fewer reps and keeping everybody healthy, right? Fewer practices and just saying, hey, we're healthy at this point. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, last year we had, some significant injuries, but like in the total amount of injuries, I think we did far better than the previous years. And
we did.
The previous years, they were going full speed the entire time. So
it was nuts back in 2020, 2019, 28. I mean, the injuries really piled up to where we had to talk about it. Last year, they reverted to the norm, so to speak. There was that one weird day in camp where we lost 2 players in the same day. Jeff Wilson Jr. standing up from his desk, blowing out his knee. That felt weird, but that really was it as far as the, injury curse last year, thankfully.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Love it. All right, let me get your opinion on this last one before I let you go and get down to William Bennett down there. Really D-Note comes in with this. Rob Schuh, do you watch the I Am Athlete podcast? Admittedly, I do not, but we're going to go off of this statement anyway. Deshaun Jackson says the offense for the Rams is 75% Cooper Kupp, 25% of Stafford to make a read. I mean, if that is what Deshaun Jackson was saying about the Rams, then Kupp earned himself all of that money, right? All that 75% of the offense, he got himself $75 million guaranteed. $1 million for every percent of the offense that he contributes to. I will say that, I mean, that feels like an overstatement of Kupp's value to that team. However, he is a very dangerous weapon. He's one of those guys that you look at and his physical stature does not match up with what he's able to do on the field.
Right.
But that's what's so special about him.
Yeah, I think, Kupp's a really good receiver.
Really good.
But he's also got a pretty darn good quarterback throwing it to him too. So I mean,
yes, he does.
And Stafford is a really accurate quarterback. He's got a good head on his shoulders. So I mean, you pair those two things together, and of course, that receiver is going to have some monster numbers.
Yes, that's true. I mean, when you get 2 guys together that have that chemistry, one tends to push the ball downfield and the other is an excellent receiver, that's a recipe for success. No doubt about it. Yeah,
and I mean, Kupp, has a lot of abilities similar to Deebo where he can make stuff happen after the catch. So, the 2 of them together is a deadly combo.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Fantastic. Chris, I always enjoy our conversations, good sir, and I look forward to the next time that we get to have that conversation.
I appreciate it, Rob. I'll see you next week.
All right, my friend. You take care.
Have a good one.
You too. All right, bringing William Bennett into the stream. What's up, William? Look at that, the flash, my man. Cheers. How you doing this fine Thursday?
Good, I'm good. Just trying to get to the weekend.
I hear you on that, man. I absolutely hear you on that. I'm looking forward to this weekend.
I know, right? I don't know what the weather is, but it's the weekend.
That's all that matters, right? It makes, hey, if it's raining, at least it's the weekend. If it's sunny, then it's sunny and the weekend. The weekend makes it better no matter what.
Facts. How have you been, Rob?
I've been good. Physically, I've been feeling good. I feel like it is finally starting to feel a little bit like summer. I say that, but just as I say that, like today doesn't. It's still kind of warm out, but it's overcast. Portland just has not cooperated with providing us sunshine and we need it because we need our vitamin D up here in the Pacific Northwest. We do not get enough of it. But other than that, other than my minor gripe with the weather, I've been doing very well.
Good to hear. Good to hear. I've just been really busy with work and everything. You know, it's around that time of the year where everything's winding down. So, you know, they're trying to do the last ditch of, you know, get everything in.
Right. Wrap up all those projects.
You know, and we begin new ones.
Oh, yeah. That's always fun.
Yeah.
That was a good response. That was a good telling response, my friend. So what'd you take out of this mini camp? Like what was your biggest takeaway? What was something that you were kind of excited about, or anything that gave you some nerves about what we may have to go through this year?
Well, I haven't seen a lot of the mini camp. I've been kind of working a lot. So I've been trying to catch, you know, just get a little bit here and there, catch you with Jack doing y'all thing. I was not shocked that Deebo showed up to the mini camp. I actually predicted that he would be there. I predicted that he would be there but not participate.
Ooh, you were spot on then. Except for him throwing the ball around a little bit, right? Playing catch with Brandon Ayuk.
And they come on the field and touch the rock.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? That wouldn't be kosher. But I was cool with him taking that step to show, like, look, I'm ready to mend fences. I'm ready to get, you know, these contract negotiations together and get back to football. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was pleased with what we got. I didn't expect him to go ahead.
No. I please finish that. I do have a follow-up for you. Plus, I'm going to bring in Chris's super chat to compliment you. But no, please continue.
Chris, a classic dude.
Yes, he is. So you saw Deebo. You weren't surprised that he was there. You knew he wasn't going to be practicing.
I didn't expect him to do any participation, but him just showing up, because, you know, this time months ago, we wasn't even sure Deebo was even going to be on the team.
Nope.
You feel what I'm saying? So to have him at mini camp, tossing the ball around, that's a very positive sign. So
yes, it is.
People keep faithful. It's going to work out. It's going to work out.
Yes.
I think somebody talked to him and said, hey, Deebo, we're going to take care of you. You're going to get taken care of.
Yeah, we got the money coming.
You know what's going on. We just need you to be a little patient for us. We got you.
Patience is key. I'm with you on that. I'll bring in Chris's super chat here. William O.G. Bennett. Love the shirt, my dude. Glad you are back on the comic shirt train. I love the hoodie last week, but I admit that I love the comic shirts as well. I just love the theme that is ongoing. Leave in, coming in. Yeah, Flash. Aha. All right. I'm telling you. So, okay, follow-up question to that about Deebo Samuel. Do you side with Trent Williams in his sentiment of, like, hey, it's the mature thing to do to be here now? Like, regardless of what was done and said before this, minicamp is here. Deebo has made the mature decision in deciding to be here, even though he's not participating.
Yeah, I totally agree with it. Like he said, you know, and I tell a lot of people, because me, myself, other than watching the Rob Schuh show, I'm not really much into a lot of social media that really honestly doesn't have to do with my Niners. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like and subscribe. But but I mean, that's the mature thing to do. I mean, yes. You gotta show them you're an adult. Like, hey, you heard you know the old commercials. You never let them see you sweat.
That's right.
And in the beginning, Deebo was doing a lot of sweating.
Yeah,
and it was
sweating.
At first, I was not mad at him. I never was mad at Deebo for expressing his feelings.
Nope.
Not at once.
Do what you got to do, man.
you got to understand this young man grind. And by me, the youth football coach, this young man grind from when nobody knew his name to everybody singing his praises. Yes, I feel he's deserving of his money, but sometimes you got to pick your battles.
Well said.
Sometimes you got to know when to hold them. Sometimes you got to know when to fold them.
Amen. Amen to that.
I'm saying but you never let them see you sweat. You always have your poker face on.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I think at a little point in there, Deebo poker face was showing.
Yes, it was. Yeah, that he definitely let it slip that he had pocket aces or whatever it was he was sitting on at that point. He definitely let it slip. And with Trent Williams in his huge contract negotiations, you didn't hear anything from him until he came on to celebrate the fact that he was now the highest paid left tackle, right? He was out at some big dinner in Kansas City or something like that. And then he popped on to say, yeah, just got paid. And you saw him all over in social media making those rounds. And I think that was wise to just allow things to play out, know your value, stand up for your value, but allow your agent to do what he needs to do in order to get you that deal that you know you're worth.
Exactly. I don't know Deebo's relationship with Kyle as the same with Trent, but I think Deebo realized, and I think a couple of people probably talked to him and said, "Look, dog, you're gonna be on this team. We got you."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then the one thing the Niners do not like to do is air their laundry.
Not at all. Not at least not in this regime. Trent Baalke liked to air all their damn laundry back in the day, but not anymore.
But another thing, the head office can be petty. I think people underestimate how petty Parag and them can be.
A little bit of pettiness.
And I think a lot of what escalated between Deebo and them wasn't money. It was how things was being handled.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that kind of upset them. Same way with Jimmie. It is not that they don't want to do the best by Jimmie. I think the thing that turned the butter was how it went and how him and his agent went about everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they like, okay, Jimmie, we're going to try to get you. And honestly, I, to this day, just feel wholeheartedly that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to be a Washington Commander.
Yeah.
I have such a strong feeling for that.
Before the Carson Wentz deal, when we were talking about, there had been an offer for Jimmie of 2 second-rounders. Like, it all sort of lines up.
But when they did that shoulder surgery,
out of nowhere,
and I don't know what the hold on it was. Like, honestly.
Did you just get a call? We may have lost audio for a sec.
You hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
All right, cool. Yeah, I did get a call.
Nice.
I'm back.
They didn't want to be put on hold. Yeah, they're like, hey, I'm calling him back. This is important.
But it's simple. It's simple as this. Sometimes it ain't what you do, is how you do it.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Yes, I've dealt with managers who I may not hold in the highest regards, but I respect their position as the manager.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lose my cool. I'm just gonna stick to the facts, man.
Right.
Just stick to the facts.
Because they hold a little bit of sway over some of the things that are either going to benefit you or not benefit you in the future.
Sometimes people can make that road a lot rockier than it used to be.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can, my friend.
I know we all supposed to be a enlightened society.
Right.
But hey, we ain't too far off from pitching rocks out of a cave. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I know exactly what you're saying.
I'm glad to hear about the success Ray is having. I'm hearing some phenomenal things about him.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's true to light because, you know, and it stays consistent.
Yes.
Because that's the one thing I'm so much want the Niners to have is consistency. So we have a tendency sometimes to be so inconsistent on certain things that I like to see more consistency out of our team and our organization. I like everybody to be on the same page. And health. That's the one thing that actually I'm paying them so much attention in the minicamp is that people are healthy.
Yes. A couple of little tweaks, right? Danny Gray, TDP, things to keep our eye on, but nothing big.
But you know, nothing that we're talking about what happened last.
No two season-ending injuries in a single day. Knocking on wood again.
People's health. I was scared for minicamp this year. I ain't gonna even lie. I was like, we get in the minicamp and players start to go so hard, man. They have contact injuries. I be like, so hopefully any injuries we have will be minor and few.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
Right now, I'm more concerned, honestly, because I'm not concerned about Deebo's contract. That's going to be done. I'm not concerned about Bosa. That's going to be done.
They're getting done.
The thing that concerns me the most, and it wouldn't if we hadn't lost so much, is that center position.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, Faithful. I'm faithful, but I'm concerned. I would like to know. I don't want to. If we don't have to, I don't want to just throw somebody in that position.
Right.
A Band-Aid, not going into this season.
So it seems that it's either one or the other. Either they are going that approach and they are throwing a Band-Aid over the center position, which seems like it would be a catastrophe in Jake Brendel, or they have kept this closely guarded secret about just how phenomenal Jake Brendel is, very close to the vest, and we all just don't know it yet. Like, I mean, I'll tell you what, I will be freaking impressed if we go into this season and Jake Brendel just crushes the center position.
Hey, and Brendel we trust, but but I want to say, just like Compton. Everybody was shocked that Compton was holding it down as much as he was. He was like, "Oh, is that Compton?"
I was guilty of talking trash on Compton at the end of the offseason last year when he made the 53-man roster. I was like, that was a mistake. Should have kept.
Trust. I was there. I was there.
Yeah.
On that train, but I was happy to see him whole suit. Was he terrific? No,
but he was good.
Serviceable, yes, and. The thing that really got me was you had to know Compton's strength. Compton's strength was he was better in the run than he was in the pass protect.
Run blocking and blocking in space in run blocking schemes. He was very good at it.
The thing that really exposed him was, I think, the Green Bay game. We had to throw a lot more in that game.
Yeah.
And
the one earlier in the year, the one during the regular season.
Our O-line got kind of really exposed, and especially Compton and Bronskill.
Yeah.
They got really exposed. But Compton got really exposed. I was like, are we just gonna keep letting that happen just to see if it would stop? You know what I'm saying? That's like letting a cut bleed until it stops. But by then you out of blood. Like, come on.
There's some stitches in that thing.
I mean, are we gonna do something? Put some peroxide on it? Do something. Right. But and that's what I'm hoping we're not gonna do at the center position, because by Trey being a rookie, they're gonna blitz him a lot.
Yeah.
They want to see his work. They want to know how cool he is behind that.
Absolutely. You got to test a young quarterback.
Release that ball. How quickly can he recognize the defense?
Yeah.
And that is a lot for someone in his position. And don't get me wrong, I hope Trey is the next thing to plant-based butter. But would you really want to put him in that position?
Right.
Because fourth game, we got the Rams. Where you think they're coming? Straight to that center row.
Yeah.
You see Aaron Donald shift in. And he's going to test that mantle.
For sure. I mean, Brunskill has been good against Aaron Donald, but you got to see how Brendel's going to handle it.
Exactly. So I'm just hoping that work out. I haven't seen a lot of the running backs.
Yeah.
I heard Trey Sermon had a decent training camp, the past training camp.
Yeah, looked good over the mini camp. And honestly, with that running back room, I think we're not going to truly know what we have until the pads come on, right? You got to see some of those guys are bruisers, right? You got to see them.
That's a position that you cannot tell until some bumping gets to going on.
That's right. How many tackles can you break?
You just can't. That's like somebody you got a running back in flag football.
Right.
And he's great when nobody's really touching him.
Yeah,
it's a whole different animal when them pads get the clapping around.
Yeah, when the big men get their hands on you, that's a different scenario.
I'm gonna tell you, it's not a game.
No,
I'm happy for Hufanga that he's getting the praise and that he's stepping up and everything.
Me too.
I hope, like I said, that what is transparent and who would have been great for him if still on the team would have been Sherman. I think Sherman would have been great for Hufanga.
Yeah.
He would have been. I think he would have been able to teach him, hey, look, I'm not the fastest corner out here, but my anticipation is on point.
Right. You take the right angles, you know where the ball is going to be, you get your nose into the playbook, all of a sudden it can look like you're playing faster than you actually are.
You can make plays on the ball.
Yeah. And
he tends to have that type of perspective about him, that type of how can I say mentality to detail, to strive to want to be. I was listening to an interview this morning, and they were talking to a basketball player. I can't remember his name, but they were talking about being obsessed, and he was saying, to be great, you have to be obsessed. You can't be just talented. Talent people, people are like, he's talented, he's good. But to be great, you have to be obsessed. And I think Hufanga is obsessed with being great, with being better. And I think that's why people are seeing the changes in him. As for, and I just want to add him, Aaron Banks. I like to see the change since he's changed his body structure, which honestly, when he was drafted, I thought was going to be a problem for him. I thought he was more fat than muscle. And I'm going to tell you, in that position, being fat is not good. I know some of the guys look like they're fat, like Wilford looked fat, but he was muscle.
Right.
And that's power.
Yeah, and that's the core. The core is what is important.
Exactly. And I think that's what I hope he's been working on and they've been working on with him. And I think him being over there in the left guard with Trent Williams is going to be a plus for him.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone that's standing next to Trent Williams is going to be helped out.
Hey, look what it did to Lake.
Right?
I still say Lakin was good, and I know people like to praise him, and yes, he was an Iron Man. But to be honest, to me, I think he looked as good as he was because he was next to Trent Williams.
I think that's a fair assessment, right?
Like decent, and you're next to the greatest in the league, you can't help but elevate.
His shine is now shining on you, is reflecting on you. I'm with you. All right, help me out here with Chris Royal's comment, and then I got to transition down to Jaguayo to wrap up because we're about at 6:30. But here we go. Chris coming in. Rob, as far as the running back room, I'm not worried about that position. Kyle seems to slam dunk that position with one or two people almost every season. We got into this because PFF ranked the 49ers as like 6th worst running back room in the freaking NFL, right? Unproven. Do you have any doubts about the 49ers running back room and how successful they may be able to be this season?
I've never had a doubt about the running back room. The reason I think he ranked the 49ers 6th, and this is the concern I have for it, is availability.
So health of those backs, making sure that they can stay healthy throughout?
Just health of the backs. We're a running team.
Yeah.
And we put our backs in a lot of harm's way.
We do. And you watched Elijah Mitchell constantly dinged up last year. Trey Sermon really only got the one start and then ended up injured as well, right? So I can see that.
It's availability. That, to me, is my concern about the running back room. Other than that, I think we have some very talented backs who can get the job done, what that need to be done. It's just keeping people healthy.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That health is paramount.
Yeah, it's just health. That sometimes tends to be our Achilles heel.
Yes, it does. Yes, it has every season but last. Again, I'm just constantly knocking on wood anytime we talk about injuries here.
But I do want to end with this. Can't wait to get into another round table with you. Miss it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Next week, let's make the round table happen for sure. We will reserve some time at the end of the show to get the round table going.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, William, you know I enjoy talking with you every time, my friend. Cheers.
Hey, faithful.
Faithful. All right, William, we'll see you soon.
Peace out.
Take care. All right, bringing in Jaguayo 56 to help us close out the day. Jaguayo, how are you doing? Hey, I feel kind of bad because last week was your birthday when you were on, and we didn't get the damn Dubs win that we had hoped for on your birthday. But I hope that your time with family and the party and your food was good. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the birthday.
Oh, thank you for that, Rob. It turned out good. It wasn't as expected, but
right.
But I'm grateful for another day.
Hey,
another birthday.
That's the attitude to have, my friend. You got to have that attitude of gratitude. It makes life so much better, and it makes it better for those around you as well when you have that gratitude.
Exactly. I just wanted to touch real quick. I know you've been on here, and we all appreciate your time.
I appreciate that.
So I'm happy and hopeful by watching Deebo's interaction with Ayuk and Jennings. Because he seemed happy.
He did.
He seemed like he really loved being there, throwing the ball. Just a guy just enjoying the day and being around the team. And so I feel hopeful for that. I really do.
Me too. I was wondering if that would be the case, right? Because when it gets so negative, you wonder if that's going to carry through into how he interacts with the team, with the coaches. But like he walked in as if nothing had happened. Like if I didn't know that there had been drama earlier this offseason, I wouldn't think anything was wrong.
He loves football.
Yeah.
He just loves football. He loves it. He loves it, And so I'm hopeful for that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was just I think, with Trey coming in, taking over, the offensive line, I'm a little bit concerned about it, but I have confidence that Coach Shanahan, because of the fact that, he hires good coaches, and I think the running attack is going to help Trey. Of course, the center, like William Bennett was talking about, is, that's going to be, I think, because it's the cornerstone of the line. But I just don't know if Brendel's really the guy. If he is, I'm hoping that they have identified that he is the guy, and so I'm just I just got hope and that he can do it. If not, maybe Brunskill moves over and we put somebody else at guard. I heard Zakel's been really doing good.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that concerns me, because I'm just concerned with Trey's development, his protection, of course. But I think they're going to be okay.
I have some faith there, but it is quite honestly the camp battle I will be watching most intently. When we get to training camp, when we're seeing them against other teams in the preseason, that's when the rubber's going to meet the road, and we will all know whether the 49ers overplayed their hand in this regard or got incredible value and were able to save some very important dollars by plugging in Jake Brendel at center and Daniel Brunskill again at right guard and Aaron Banks at left guard. If they go with that formation and McGlinchey's healthy and it turns out to be a solid offensive line, that's a home run in my book.
Yeah, and then Trey's comments at his presser when you asked him about the center position, he said that Jake Brendel's his guy because he took all the snaps from him last year. So it seems like he's pretty confident in him, and that's very important. The other thing I wanted to say is the record. I think as long as we win our division. You always start with winning the division. You gotta hope for at least a 4-2 record and maybe split with the Rams and you gotta take the Cardinals and the Seahawks.
Yeah. You have to, if you can't sweep the Seahawks this year, that's going to be frustrating, right? This is the season to sweep Seattle.
If you can't do it, then I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Is there a curse?
They may own us at that point. Yeah. We may just have to admit it.
And the last thing I wanted to touch on is just an opinion on. Do you think that overall, when it's all said and done, and we have the 53-man roster this year, is it a deeper roster than the Harbaugh teams? Not counting the talent as far as, okay, you could say that Willis, Brooks, Ahmad Brooks, and Bowman were superior to our linebackers, even though it's a different game, it's a faster game. So you can't compare that. But the talent-wise, of course, I think Willis is a Hall of Famer. Bowman,
I agree.
A fringe, but overall they were a great unit. Of course, with the defensive line that we had. But what I'm thinking is, why I was thinking this was in the Super Bowl. If you remember, the Cowboy was kind of hurt. He had hurt his shoulder.
Yeah,
he wasn't 100%.
Rotator cuff or something like that.
Yes, and so we suffered because we didn't have another wave of defensive linemen to kind of take the slack. So now I'm thinking, is this a deeper team overall? What do you think?
So it's tough to say that because of how talented that 2011, 2012 team was under the Harbaugh era. But I think you're right that was frontline talent. That was the stars of the team were spectacular. I don't know that I have ever talked about or seen a roster as deep as I feel this one is. Obviously, it's all talk until we actually get them out there on the field and see what we have. But on paper, I think I would say that this is the deepest team that I have ever seen since before the invention of the salary cap, right? 1994, that may have been the deepest 49er team that I have ever seen. But this, in current era, I do think is the deepest team. By the way, Swan Song coming in to point out it was the tricep that Cowboy had torn. Was torn tricep. Yep.
Yes. But man, I was just thinking about that, and I think that if everything goes right, no injuries, like you said, knock on wood. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a dynamic team. I think we're gonna be a deeper team, and I think that we're gonna be right there because I think we can. Okay, I think we can compete with the top NFC teams. I mean, we beat all the big teams last year coming down the stretch, and that was with Jimmie. God bless his heart.
Yeah.
But hopefully by the time we get into the playoffs, even if our record is like 11-6, even a 10-7, but Trey will by then he'll be a veteran.
Yes.
Have gone through the wars, and hopefully that's going to help him when we get into the playoff, regardless of where you are. And so I just wanted to end on that. I just wanted to tell you to stay blessed, and thank you very much for your efforts. I really appreciate it. The faithful appreciate it, and you have yourself a good evening.
Thank you. I genuinely appreciate that. Thank you so much for those kind words. That means a great deal to me. Cheers to you, Jaguayo.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Man, that feels fantastic. I'm honestly quite touched by that. Quite touched by Ricky Williams coming in to say, we appreciate you, Rob. Very touched. Chris Royal, Sneakerhead here on the channel coming in. Thanks for the content, Rob. Much needed after a rough work week. Thanks for the conversation. Look forward to next week's show. Have a good night, sir. Chris, I am hopeful that in whatever way this show could alleviate that long work week, that it made your Friday evening, our Thursday evening that much better. But I just want to say thank you to you, Chris. Thank you to Ricky. Thank you to Jaguayo for saying that. Like, it needs to be acknowledged when people go out of their way to be kind to one another, because it is that interaction that allows us to bring smiles to other people's faces. I currently have an inner smile and an outer smile because of what has been said to me over these past couple of minutes. It makes me feel better about me. It makes me feel encouraged to do this stream in the way that I do. If I had been faced with nonstop negativity when I started this channel, I don't know that I would have made it. I had plenty of days of self-doubt. I had plenty of days where I asked myself, Rob, what the hell are you doing here? Like, honestly, what are you doing here? And it was people coming in and saying, no, what you're doing here is creating a vibe, a channel, a place for us to come and enjoy talking about Niners. And it dawned on me that I was just a vessel, right? I just became a part of this dialogue, but it's all of us together that make this what it is. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who is on this channel, everyone who supports this channel, everyone who has ever said a kind word to me, everyone that has ever written in the chat, everyone that has ever sent in a super chat. It just means a great deal to me. And I don't know any other way to say it than to just say thank you from me to all of you. William Bennett coming in. The Rams owe us a Super Bowl because we beat all the top teams to let them slide to the championship. LOL. William, we need to collect on that because I would like to have another Lombardi. I really, really want to bring in that 6th Lombardi. And hey, if the Rams owe us, let's collect. William, you and I, let's go collect on that frickin' Super Bowl. Love it. Absolutely. William, I look forward to our chat next week, my friend. And Ellis10, also Sneakerhead here on the channel. Always thankful for your channel. Ellis, I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for all the Sneakerheads. I'm thankful for every subscriber, getting within 30-something subscribers of 7,000. When I was fighting to get to 1,000 subscribers, I never thought I would get there. I didn't know I'd make it to 1,000. I can't say enough what it means to get support. Appreciate all of it. And if I missed anybody's comments, Dan coming in, keep up the great work, Rob. I appreciate it. Swan Song coming in. No one does your type of show better than you do. Man, it feels good. Rich coming in. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here always. And I look forward to doing it again. I will be back on tomorrow. Haven't confirmed with Grant yet, but usually on with Grant, 11 a.m. on his channel. Jack Hammer and I will most likely be on this channel at 4 p.m. I will be on at some point with or without Jack, but I'm hoping it's Jack because we need to download Jack Hammer's takes of being at minicamp. Let's get that going. Man, I'm leaving here on a good vibe, and that's thanks to all of you. The same goes back to everybody. Rich coming in. Have a blessed rest of your day. Have a blessed rest of your day, everyone. Thank you, Rich. Appreciate all of you. Cheers to all of you. You know how it goes. Cheers, faithful.